don't feel like I ever sacrificed anything. I did it because I loved it. I was getting every opportunity under the sun, and I felt like if I really was at it and at my best, then the opportunities were endless. And then we won the league that year. You know, everyone will look to the moment that Pep Guardiola came in 2016 and everything changed. No, we moved, but that was probably my best moment and biggest moment in my career and as a person.
When you reflect on your England career, how would you describe it?
Had opportunities and didn't take them. At the tournament, see you later, pack your bags, off ski.
Let's talk about Celtic.
That was a special day, a day that will live with me forever. And they just sat back and let me be me.
Winning pretty much every domestic title you could have ever lifted. How you reflect on the whole journey?
Absolutely loved it, lived it, done.
Hey, just a really quick note to say thank you so much to all of our new subscribers. And if you haven't yet subscribed, why not? It means you're the first to know about brand new episodes of High Performance, and it also means we can attract incredible new guests to the show. So please hit subscribe right now. Enjoy the show.
This episode is supported by Huel. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
It's nice to see you again.
You too.
Now, can I just interject here? Because I want to make sure that last time you two saw each other, you was having a crack at him.
I was. It wasn't actually. No, we've worked together since, but
have we?
That did. Yeah, no. We worked together on BT or whatever it's called now.
Oh yeah, I remember you came and did a game. Yeah, you're right.
But
go on, Joe. Tell us the story. I want to hear your version of this.
I can't believe you've gone here straight away at the beginning.
You want to hear?
Yeah, go on.
How
please.
I was feeling at the time. Right. Okay. So I am mid-20s, pumped up on life, pumped up on football, pumped up on adrenaline. Jake's coming to the sport. He's working for new channel, BT, trying to do things a little bit different, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And I was watching you present, and I felt like you were close to trying to kind of making a joke of everything, of a lot of people that I had a lot of love and a lot of respect for, and I felt protected from. We had a player called Martin Di Michelis who was who came and did a great job. He was Manuel Pellegrini's signing, and he wasn't playing out of his skin, let's say. A few things were happening his way. Played in the FA Cup, Wigan. I was on the bench, it was the FA Cup. I think we might have lost the game at the Etihad. And Martin had given a penalty away. And there was a lot going on around his name at the time.
Right.
And I think the chairman of Wigan, you interviewed him after.
It was Rosler. So because if you remember, Uwe Rosler was the manager.
Right.
And he played at Man City and named his son Colin because he loved Colin Bell.
That was it.
Do you remember this? And and you're totally right. I was making a joke about the fact that he'd named his son Colin Bell, and I said to him, maybe you'll name your next son Martin after Martin Di Michelis won you the game.
So I'm in the gym, because I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
I always like to work out after, because I prepare for the game like I should on the bench, wasn't playing, a lot of energy. And I was watching it, and I heard you say that. And Richard Wright was the third choice goalie at the time, and he saw me. I was like, I'm not having that. I said, don't like it when people talk about someone and they can't defend themselves, because Martin would never do English TV. And he was like, Joe, just let it go. I said, how can I sit in here, get annoyed at Jake, and he's 30 yards away? I said, I'm going to go and say something. He was like, please don't go and say something. I said, no, I feel like I've got to say something, otherwise it won't sit well with me. So I walked out, waited for you. I think...
So we're still live on air at this point.
Right?
Yeah. And this is the first I've become aware of this, because I'm with Steve McManaman.
Yeah.
And we're standing there, we're doing our presenting, and Macca goes, fucking hell, what the fuck's up with him? And I turned round and I went, oh bloody hell. And Joe was like 20 yards away. I think you were with one of the press officers or something.
Yeah.
He was like 20 yards away, and I am not joking, the stare was intense. And he was locked on. And I said to Steve, Steve, I think you've pissed him off. Honestly. Because we couldn't tell. He was just looking at us, but he was like, there was no blinking. The eyes were like this. And then we stayed on air. And I don't know whether my memory is the same as yours, but we came off air, and immediately the press officer comes over to me and she goes, hi, Joe would like a word with you.
Go on, Joe, you take it on from there.
Yeah, so I asked for a word. Obviously, looking back now, it shouldn't have riled me up that much. Maybe I had something going on with me. I don't know. But I just felt like I needed to let you know. I just said, Jake, you've got a very important role in our world. I think you just come over from F1, right?
That's right, yeah.
You've got a very important job in our world. And I felt recently that you were almost making a joke of some things that people are really working hard to do and putting themselves on the line. I said, Martin, for example, I said, I don't even think Martin understands or would even know what you've just said, but I need to stand up for him. And I don't think that's acceptable that you're making a joke of him having a bad game. And I didn't even know what I was saying, but I just said, I wanted you to be aware that we're not cool with that. I didn't know why I thought I was talking for the whole football world. But yeah, to be fair, you took it on. You obviously didn't want to offend me. You weren't on TV to offend anyone. But I just wanted to let you know that maybe not everyone's got a voice. But
you're right. And I thought it was a brilliant bit of leadership. Actually, I mean, at the time I was just shitting myself. Because do you remember when they took us down? They took us to the manager's office in the tunnel, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And I sort of have this memory in my head of, we're not a dissimilar height, but I have this memory of Joe being like 4 feet taller than me, leaning over the top, like wild eyes, like bulging muscles. And you said exactly that. And what I thought was interesting, for me anyway, because I was new to football, is you said the people in there are trying their best and they are human beings that make mistakes, and it doesn't help them or anyone else at home to make a joke or make light of that. And I think I tried to sort of defend myself and say, look, we're trying to make entertainment as well as football. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we shook hands and left it at that. But we actually wrote about this, in our first book. I told the story of this in our first book.
Right, okay.
Just because I thought it was a really interesting insight into you as a leader. And I just wonder when you first took on that mantle of thinking, no, I'm gonna stand up for my teammates, my football club, the sport I love.
I don't know. I've always kind of felt that way. I've always felt, and I suppose starting to reflect now that I'm not a footballer. I'm not a goalkeeper. I do look at things from a goalkeeper point of view. That's how I see life. I'm very protective. I want to help. I want to be the last line of defense, if you like. And that sounds cliche, but that's literally how I live my life. And especially with teammates and starting to come into environments where not everybody has a say. I've been a foreigner. I've played in a foreign league where stuff could be going on around me and I could be completely oblivious. Like someone could be absolutely slaughtering me sat next to me and I wouldn't know. And Martin was my example. I feel bad bringing his name because he did exceptional and we won the league with Martin Demichelis and he's had a fantastic career. He just happened to be the guy that I didn't feel like he would have a voice. And I felt awful, and I always have, that I was saying these things about you. And I was 20 meters away. I was a few walls away, but I said, why would I sit in here saying that when I could go and have a conversation with you? And I'd like to think I'd calm down enough to try and get the point. I wasn't like, you can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want to be. But I just felt it was important that I said it, because 3 weeks later, if I was sat there watching and another TV presenter was doing it, and I thought I had a chance to say something.
But isn't that how life should be anyway? Isn't this how relationships should work? Like, it was actually a brilliant moment for me because it was the beginning of my life in football. And Formula One probably is more entertainment. And it was a great sort of reminder for me that this is different, you know?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know whether I was wrong or whether I was right, or whether it is an entertainment business. But that was how I felt, and I just felt wrong to say something, especially about you, when I could pull you and say it to your face, and I really did mean it from the best possible way, even if I was pumped up and probably looked a bit stupid at the time.
You know, Huel has been a staple of my diet for some time, and I'm currently loving these Huel Daily A to Z vitamins. Tastes great, refreshing. Each can has 26 vitamins and minerals, offering 154 science-backed health benefits. Reduced tiredness and fatigue, normal cognitive function, healthy skin, hair and nails, and vitamin D for immunity. This is a vitamin drink that offers everything you could need it to. So what are you waiting for? Grab it right now in Tesco stores nationwide or at Huel.com and let me know what you think.
But I'm interested in, like, there's hard and easy decisions, and the easy decision is maybe don't say anything, or if I bump into Jake, I'll pull him up. And you've very deliberately chosen the hard decision of, I'm going to go and have this conversation. Have you always done that, or was that something that developed throughout your career?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've not really got too much in-depth recollection of how I've always behaved in those situations. Maybe in school, let things slide. I don't know. But since I've played football and since I've realised that having kind of communication with people, like, things can be solved really quickly, and I definitely want to give that an opportunity. So, like I say, if Jake chose to just say, shut up, I'll do my job however I want to. I'd have been fine with that. You know, I can't tell him what to do, but I wanted to just give it the best opportunity because I thought it was the best thing for everyone. I thought it was the best thing for you, even though, again, I can't tell you what to do.
No, well, I think it was, absolutely.
And I thought it was the best thing for me because it stopped me from being angry when I saw a TV presenter or pundit saying things that I didn't agree with.
So take us into the mind and the world of Joe Hart at that time, because this is 2014. That was an FA Cup quarter-final, wasn't it? And at that point, you're the England guy, you're the City guy, you've won the FA Cup, you've won the Premier League. What was life like for you at that point?
It was a lot of fun. It was intense. It was crash bang wallop, all sorts of things happening, but it was an amazing time to be alive, an amazing time to be a young guy who loved playing football. I was getting every opportunity under the sun, and I felt like if I really was at it and at my best, then the opportunities were endless.
And was it easy? Like, were you in flow at that time? Were the decisions on the pitch coming easy for you?
See, that's probably a moment in 2013. I'd say up until the age of 26, 27, I'd just progressed. I'm talking from 11, 12, 13, 14 with the first team, 18s, training with the first team, reserves, turn 15, first team, City, loan, play, England 21s. And I was literally just taking steps up this ladder, just through hard work, believing in what I was doing and not really thinking too much. And then 2014, start of that season, I was useless. I had this kind of block where I started the season and I didn't feel right. I felt that I was second guessing myself, having never done that professionally, ever. Always, even in a mistake, just kind of like, whatever, I'll just carry on playing. Flow was there. And interesting you said flow, because that's a big thing for me. I was jittery. Start of the season, I actually got taken out of the team by Manuel Pellegrini early on in his career. A new goalkeeper coach had come in. We were kind of clashing a little bit. And I got taken out of the team, which was the first time in my life, my career, I'd ever been removed from a team. And it was 100 million% the right thing to do. And obviously I stormed into the office and I, why have you done this? In my head, I'm going, thank God you've done this. This is the right time to do this. Excellent from you. Because not easy. Like you said, you just gave the list of who I was and what I was and what I was to Manchester City. And he said, Joe, you just need time out. You're not right. He said, I don't know you well enough, but I know enough to know that you're not playing to your potential right now and you're hurting the team. Which is the perfect thing to say to me, because if someone says that, then not a problem. I said, look, I don't agree with you. I do agree with you. But what will it take to sort this out? He said, look, I'm not banning you from the team. I'm not taking you out. I'm not, you're not banished. I just feel like you need a moment. So I said, right, okay, I'm going to work on myself and I want to stay in regular dialogue with you. And then, brilliant from my agent at the time, I obviously called him, told him what was happening. I said, because in the build up to that happening, I'd been poor for probably 3 or 4 games, like poor. It all culminated in a mistake against Chelsea. We lost 2-1, Nastasic, ball through ball. I came but didn't come. Then he saw me come but didn't see me stop. So he's gone to head it back to me. Then I came again. It went over my head. Torres knocked it in, lost 2-1.
And you still remember it like it was yesterday?
100%. I remember the Drake song when I put my headphones on and I pressed play and it was, don't think about it too much. And I started laughing to myself because I was like, you're a mess. But it was funny. It was like I could see the funny side of what was going on. And I was like, woof, I'm a real problem at the moment. I'm a real problem for this team. I need to come out and I need to work out what's going on. Anyway, so spoke to my agent. He suggested, have you ever thought about, talking to someone? Because he knew that I was all professional routes, goalkeeper routes. I was trying. I was exhausting. Like, I'm always going to try as hard as I can. I said, what? I'd love that. I'd absolutely love that. So we reached out. Quite ironic how it works with Brendan Rodgers here, and he won't mind me saying. Brendan was the manager of Liverpool at the time, and my agent's link was to Dr. Steve Peters, to which he reached out. And Brendan, he was working exclusively with Liverpool at the time. So Brendan said, look, I can't let Joe have him. But I'd never like to leave a player in need. I've got another suggestion. I've got Jamie Edwards, who's a mental coach. I was like, yeah, cool. I appreciate that. No, obviously I wasn't in dialogue, but that's what got told to me. Went and sat down with Jamie, and well, you probably know more about this, Damien, and he asked me about myself, told him, you know, it was one of those meetings where we don't know how it's going to go, and obviously 3 hours later I'm waffling away, like listening to myself kind of answer the majority of all the questions that I've got. Worked out that it's not necessarily the ability, it's just the clarity of what you need in the game, clarity of what you need off the field. And then we started this kind of beautiful adventure of learning more about myself and learning more about kind of control and the best way of getting the best possible version of me, which doesn't mean the perfect me, it just means the best possible version. And we went on that, made a great point. Like I just referenced, I'd had a new goalkeeper coach at the time, Xavi, who's still at Manchester City. And he came in with a new style that he was really keen on, and he'd never played. And it's a wide leg stance that you'll see Edison and Stefan Ortega, you see them take it up. And without being boring and going into it too much, it didn't suit me. I was more neutral, and I felt really comfortable in how I was playing. But he asked me to just try it, and I told him that I was quite comfortable in my neutral. And he said, yeah, that's cool, because he's a very funny character when I got to know him. And he was like, right, that's cool, but just try it. I was like, this isn't going to end well, because you've seen how I am at that time in my life. I'm like, well, I think this is what's best for me. Anyway, so we're button clashing. And then 3 months into the season, Jamie went, who's your new goalie coach? Told him Xavi. He went, tell me about Xavi. And I went, oh, I said, what do you mean? He said, well, tell me about his family. I said, I don't know anything about his family. He went, right, well, what chance have you got? No, what chance have you got working with a guy that you're not interested in personally? I said, I bet he knows about your family. I was like, well, yeah, I've talked about mine. He said, why don't you just open a conversation? Why don't you just open the door with him? So I said, you know what, I'd love to do that. And I obviously charged in. We'd been passively aggressive working together. We'd been working together fine. Like, no one would have known. But I know when I get on with someone how I behave, and he probably is the same. Asked him for a coffee. Next thing I know, I find out about his family, find out about how he works. He's asking me how I'm working. Shoulders are dropping. I'm saying, look, I know I'm out of the team at the moment. I'd love to get back in, and what your style is, I'd love it if we could just kind of bring a little hybrid version. I can do that for you, not a problem. Blah, blah, blah. Next minute, we're working together and some of his ideas are great. Some of them I still use to this day. Some of them I don't, but that's life. Again, some of them he liked from me. Same with Manuel. How's your relationship with Manuel Pellegrini? Well, it's a bit difficult. We're kind of working together. I don't know whether he's feeling me. He said, well, ask him. Just go in and have a conversation. You're a senior player now. So I ended up sitting down with Manuel. I said, look, I don't want to talk about football. I said, I just want to know where you're at. I said, I want you to know about me. I said, I want you to know how I'm feeling. I want you to know what I'd love to do in the game still. And that just relaxed everything. Next minute, we've got a date. I feel like I'm going to play you in this Carabao Cup game, and I want you in for Fulham, but I need to see where you're at. And obviously, I'm still training to the highest level that I possibly can. Believe it or not, I'm starting to save the ball again. Believe it or not, I'm starting to come when I should come, not come when I shouldn't. The boys are seeing a change in me. And then flowed back into the team, and then we won the league that year. An amazing part of my career, one that's probably, everyone will look to the moment that Pep Guardiola came in 2016 and everything changed. No, that didn't. I was fine then. That was just football. That was a circumstance, and we move. But that was probably my best moment and biggest moment in my career and as a person.
Amazing.
I mean, I'm intrigued. Like, I jotted down there that as you were describing that famous Tim Galway quote about potential minus interference equals performance. And I'm interested in any of the other areas that the interference was obviously the relationships with whether it was with Pellegrini or Manuel, the goalkeeping coach. Were there any other interferences that you decided during that period to take away to allow you to go on and perform?
No, because I wanted to try and remove anything and everything, because my whole focus was about being as good as I could be. And you know what? I do actually remember saying, I feel great as a goalkeeper, probably 2 months before it. And I said those horrible words. I was talking to my pal. I was like, you know what? If I'm in the right position, I feel unbeatable. And that's not me. Like, I don't say stuff like that. But I did actually feel like that at the time. Genuinely did. And right or wrong, it was a great way to feel. And like I say, I'd put myself in that position. I'd been taking steps towards, like, I felt so good in the goal. And then maybe I believe my own hype. I don't know.
What do you think? Because I'm sure you've thought about it a lot. Do you think you did?
Yeah, but I think I was right. You know, like, no one's perfect. Like, they're really not. And I love that hindsight. And I don't think I would be. I don't think I would have got to the level I'm at. Well, I say I got to. I finished that. I don't think I could get to that level without believing it. But you've got to control it. You've got to be able to control those feelings. You've got to be able to control confidence. You've got to be able to control always looking for that edge to move forward. And I didn't have that control then. And it's fine. I was happy to feel it at the time. I felt it within 2 minutes of speaking with Jamie. I felt it within the third game of the 4-game run. I was like, oof, I can't quite just get a handle on this. I'm gonna have to need to check myself. But you can't check yourself in football. It's just a million miles an hour. Next game, fighting for this title, playing for England, tournament, love it. Like, all those things I list are not a hindrance. They're amazing to be a part of, but it's pretty hard to keep up with them.
I bet. I'm amazed that you say I was okay with Pep telling me that I wasn't right for Man City, because you've gone through this dip, you've done the work, you've risen again. Feels to me like just before, the start of 2016, like you're in a great place. So when you get the message from Pep Guardiola that you're not the right man for him, how are you okay with that? Surely that was unbelievably painful.
It wasn't painful. It was frustrating. It wasn't painful. It was a great man who had a vision that I didn't fit into. It was frustrating. I didn't mind, if it was to go to a panel and coaches were sat there and my name was brought up and he said, no, for me, that's not, which is what he said. He's a good goalkeeper, but for me, the system doesn't work, which is fine for his opinion. But then he took charge of the club that I was a part of and that I loved. Yeah. But what can you do? What can you do? I'd love to have stayed and tried to prove otherwise. Not even prove. It would have been, look, I can try and help you to come to the level that I need you to, but I can't start you. But I'm living in that world where I want to play for England. I want to play at the highest possible level. And you can't play for England if you're being trialed at a football club. Well, I couldn't at the time. Yeah. So it was just an unfortunate circumstance. But I don't think it wasn't a personal attack on me. It was a man who had a vision and I didn't fit into it.
And what was the conversation like then?
Oh, it was apparent that I think he signed maybe in February. I think it was announced Manuel wouldn't carry on. Grumblings. And obviously, I don't even know was he a free agent at the time or was he finishing his tenure at Bayern?
Yeah.
Football, we played good football at Manchester City, but we weren't of that brand. So I'd never played that and none of us had. It was a new brand for all of us and it was something that was obvious that he was going to bring in. And obviously I was deep in a contract at the club. I was probably 3.5 years, maybe even 4 years left on a deal. The club were committed to me. I was committed to them, but their golden goose was to get Pep. There was no, and I thought, great, I'd love to be a part of that. And then he came in and pulled me very early. We spoke I think I came back early to go and meet them in China because I got the vibe that it wasn't set in stone for me, and I needed to have some sort of conversation. How did you get that vibe? Good question. You just do, right? I'd imagine he's going to be the new manager. I was a senior player. Yeah. He's the kind of person that I'd imagine there would have been a conversation previous to coming into training, looking forward to working with you. That didn't happen. I don't know if that's how he works. I don't know. I don't work with the guy. But came in and Xavi still there, someone who I've got a great relationship, still do now, doing a great job at Manchester City. He said he didn't know how to feel. He didn't know where he stood. He was still waiting to meet the manager. And I just kind of put 2 and 2 together. And then we got in front of each other and he told me that as much as he admired me as a person, he didn't think I could fit into his system. To which I was like, look, I don't agree with you, but that's your opinion. Is that something that we can work on together? Or is that something where I need to find a new home? To which he said, look, I would work. I'm happy to work, but I can't put everything aside that I'm trying to do. I'm here to win. And I respect that. I mean, he was here to win. He wasn't here to give me a good career or look after me. He needed a goalkeeper that he felt could function because he's the kind of coach who he needs all his people to work, and then he'll tell them what to do and where to go and how it works, which I've been a part of up in, Scotland, playing for a similar sort of manager. And when you're one of those pieces, it's such an interesting way to play. But I wasn't a trusted piece, and I was in a very important position. So if I'm not a trusted piece, he can't put me into a system which, whether it's a 50-50, whether it works or not. He didn't know whether I could or whether I couldn't. I didn't know whether I could or couldn't. But he didn't have the time, hence me saying about the life that we live and national team trying to win. He's in that life too. So he didn't have the time for that. And I didn't fit in. So,
but you had that lovely example from a couple of years earlier where you've decided to go and build relationships and find common ground that eventually leads to you being able to develop stronger professional relationships. Did you try and find that common ground with him on a personal level?
Yeah, 100%. That's how I had the same conversations. We actually went in depth. It's a shame. I know it's important. It's an important thing to talk about, but it's a shame it's such a vital part of my story, because of a 21, 22-year story, he's a month.
Yeah.
And we move.
Yeah.
And it got dealt with. Wasn't ideal. And here we are now.
I suppose the reason why it's a big deal for people is that this was the beginning of the Man City we see today. And I suppose I wonder how it was for you after that time, watching the success that came, thinking, man, I was there. And
we were pretty successful.
Yeah, you were.
We did all right for a team that hadn't necessarily won in a while. We were part of the first team to win the FA Cup. We didn't just win one Premier League, we won two. We were winning whatever the League Cup was called at the time. So it didn't hurt too much. And that wasn't my team that did the rest, so I just supported. I love that club, love everything about the club, love the people. They welcomed me as a 19-year-old boy. The Premier League was everything to me. I was, the club was doing their best to stay in the league at the time. It was amazing, some amazing people that are still there now. But what comes with great power? Lots and change. Not many people survive. And the ones that survived, they're literally some of the best players in the world to have ever played the game. And I'm all right, but I'm not that guy.
You were very good. How do you reflect on your Man City time? I mean, if we think about the most famous moments in a Man City shirt, I guess arms aloft, running around in circles like a crazy guy when you won the Premier League is a pretty big moment.
That's a big moment, but there's so much more to it. There's so many more moments that I loved. Few ups and downs previous to that as well. I was doing well in the Taksin Sinawatra reign with Casper, with Andreas, Isaacson, Sven. Mark Hughes comes in. He wants another goalkeeper, go and learn to Birmingham. Whilst I'm away at Birmingham, Mancini comes in. He's not happy with Shea, so he brings me back. Lots of sliding door moments, but loads of brilliant moments. Love playing away. For my first time in the Europa League, I remember playing in the Faroe Islands in a Europa League qualifier, winning a penalty shootout, FC Midtjylland, playing with Richard Dunn. Just moments like that, and don't get me wrong, the Premier League moment's exceptional, but there's just so much more to it. The day-to-day, the relationships, the move from Carrington to the new training ground, the relationships with the supporters, the away games, that FA Cup, that first win, when the Manchester United semi-final, like these moments just do everything for me, and they really make me happy.
And the Manchester City Spurs game.
Yeah.
Like, I think of that as one of the seminal moments in your career. Just, you spoke at the beginning about this sort of constant upward trajectory.
Yep.
That kind of felt like a real validation of the journey you'd been on. What are your memories of that day?
So Roberto had come in and he'd asked me to come back to Manchester City, having been on loan at Birmingham, where I was on loan at Birmingham and I was trying to leave. Like, Manchester City didn't want me anymore. Mark Hughes didn't want me. He had Shea Given. Like, what a goalkeeper, what a guy. Unbelievable player in the Premier League. And then the beautiful world of football changes. Mancini comes in. I don't think him and Shea got on. And he asked me to come back pre-season, to which I was like, absolutely no chance. Like, no way. You didn't want me, I'm done. And he said, please just come back and I'll give you a fair shot. I want to put you against Shea. So we did pre-season, we shared it. And then the two Italian managers that I've worked with both were a flip chart an hour and a half before the game. There was no you're playing, you might not be playing.
Is that hard mentally?
Just is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. It's whatever. Sometimes your name's the other side of the flip chart, sometimes it's not. But at least it's consistent. Flipped it. I'm playing against Tottenham. Obviously, I actually got on very well with Shay, still do. Love the guy to pieces, and we both understood that it was just both looking for an incredible spot, and we'd do everything we could. There was certainly no backstabbing from me, not from him. What a stand-up, brilliant person. He'd come in and done the same to me. He'd come in and taken my place in January, February. And then I played, and then everything was coming. Jermaine was up front, Crouchy was up front. It was a good Tottenham team. We were poor. We had a lot of new signings, and they were just slicing through the middle of us, and I was saving everything like a school kid on a schoolyard. And up to half time, I remember I've seen a clip of Shay literally laughing. Like it was almost a joke. It was a way of cementing myself in the team with a good performance, and there was a game where literally everything was hitting me, everything I was doing was right. We walked away with a 0-0, and it was an unbelievable moment for me and an unbelievable game at the perfect time.
Hey guys, do you want £350 off the latest generation 8 Sleep Pod 4 Ultra? It's a pod added to your existing mattress, proven to give you up to 1 hour more quality sleep every night. It's used by sports people, it's used by titans of industry, it's even used by me. And there's nothing else like it on the market. It heats, it cools, it adjusts, and it uses sensors to track your sleep with 99% tracking accuracy. Sleeping on the pod for just 1 week can improve your cardiovascular health as much as 12 weeks of strength training. So to get £350 off the latest generation 8 Sleep Pod 4 Ultra, just go to 8sleep.com/HPP. That's 8sleep.com/HPP.
I'm interested though. You said that lovely line before about you, like, since you took me in as a 19-year-old lad, you've moved in from Shrewsbury, you've come into Manchester. What are the moments you think about where you felt like you truly belonged at a club, where you were made welcome?
Do you know what? Kasper Schmeichel, who had been on loan and I'd played against him the year before at Bury, I was obviously well aware of Kasper as a goalkeeper, even more aware of Peter Schmeichel, who had been at the Gay Meadow to watch that game. And it was an absolute pinch myself moment to meet, the great man. And obviously, I remember thinking, Kasper's, he's good, like really good. And they had David James at the time, Kasper, Nicky Weaver, and I thought, where do I didn't care where I fit. I had the conversations and it was like, look, you'll come in, maybe you'll train, we'll get used to you, maybe we'll be able to get you to another level in terms of a League One loan and then I came in and all sorts of stories about Kasper being quite difficult to deal with. So I was like, well, how's this going to play out? The guy he might have been sizing me up, but he met me at the Carrington opening doors, welcomed me to the club. I said, look, is there anything you need or if you need any help, I'm here. And I thought, what a moment. Like I did not see that coming. An incredible moment. And friends ever since, rivals, but friends. And then I had Micah, then I had Nadem, had a lot of the young lads, had Richard Dunn, I had Nicky Weaver, Les Chapman, don't know if you know Chappie Kitman. Just a really warm club. Claire Marsden, people that are still there now. Just a really, really warm club who knew how to deal with someone who was, quite new. I was from a small town. I was away from my family, and immediately I felt welcome.
I'd like to talk at this point about England as well, because I think there's a sense of belonging as a footballer. Then there's more of a sense of belonging as a Premier League footballer. But I think where it gets really challenging is as an international. Like that is the elite of the elite. And I remember on your final game for Celtic, you spoke afterwards about there's still a large slice of you that is just a young kid growing up in Shrewsbury. When you were playing for England, how did the imposter syndrome show itself there? Like, was there any room to think about the young kid growing up that dreamed of playing for his country?
So I am just a young guy, happy guy from Shrewsbury who grew up playing football, cricket, tennis, whatever you name it, I played it. And I didn't play football for any other reason than I loved it. And then also, I'm a high level goalkeeper who stands in goal for some serious teams, has some very important people look back and think, don't worry, Joe's taking care of it. And I love that as well. And I'm proud of those two people. Very far apart, but together, I like how they work. And actually, I was saying that there's not many games. Well, Champions League a few times to start with, but every England game, as soon as the referee blew the whistle for the game to start, I always remember just closing my eyes, smiling, and then it was gone. But I was that guy. I remember every time just thinking, this is fucking mint. Like, and then bosh, gone. I'm in goal. I'm moving. I don't care about any of that. Couldn't care less. I'm in goal and I want to work. But I think how can you not enjoy doing that? Like, what's the point?
And if I asked you at that time, you know, when you were absolutely in your pomp, performing for England, winning trophies, playing in the Premier League, like, if I asked you then, when you were a lot younger, what is high performance? What would you have said then?
Squeezing every single ounce out of yourself every single day, being at the limit, pushing it to the limit, never accepting anything less than everything you've got, wanting more, saving every shot, feeling. No, it's not even a feeling. High performance isn't a feeling. It's an attitude. That's what I would have said. It would have probably been a long list.
And with the man who sits in front of us today talking about there's two sides to me, I'm more in touch with my two sides than ever before, you're no longer a professional footballer.
Yep.
If I say to you now, what's high performance?
I'd certainly take a breath. I'd say it's assessing your levels. What are your levels? What's the highest possible level you can reach? Doing your best to stay at that level, everything you can. The way I've looked at especially football recently was put myself in the best possible position, train, ask the right questions, get all the information, whistle goes. However it plays out, but it won't be through lack of preparation. I think one thing that sticks with me constantly is perfection is impossible. It is. We all know that. No one's perfect. But I don't think you have to accept that. Don't accept that. You can still look for it. There's no harm in looking for something that's not there. And you can still push for it. But give yourself a little bit of room and a little bit of breathing time to really assess where you're at.
So at this point, what did hard work look like for you?
Just looked like work. It didn't feel like any other way. I'm not a man who will use the word sacrifice lightly. I don't feel like I ever sacrificed anything. I did it because I loved it. I do it because I love it. I do it because I want to do it. I'm here today because I want to be here. I'm not sacrificed anything. I want to be here. I want to be a part of these conversations. I want to find out, like that first conversation with Jamie, like speaking with yourself and Damien, having these conversations, I'll work stuff out for me. And then I might not. I might have more questions, but going back to what you said, what does hard work look like? I wouldn't know what any other work looks like. So it's not hard work to me, but that's not me saying it's easy. It's me saying it's the only way that I like to do things.
Can I take you back to that example you used about closing your eyes when an England game kicks off and just having a moment of gratitude and appreciation?
Yeah.
Because that jars with the popular image of you being often seen as over-aroused when you're playing for England. Like you've seen the footage of you, I'm sure.
I've seen me in the tunnel.
In tunnels.
I've not seen me on the pitch ever. I've never seen me on the pitch looking irate. I've seen me in tunnels when I thought, oof, he looks a bit wild.
And I'm interested in those two sides as well. The guy who looks wild in the tunnel as opposed to the guy that's taking a moment to appreciate just how far you've come.
But he is wild, that guy. He is wild, and that's part of my skill set. That's part of why I'm able to get to. I wouldn't say I'm particularly overly blessed. I'm talented, but I'm not that good. Right. I haven't got an amazing spring. I'm not faster than many people. My left foot's okay. My right foot's pretty good, but I've danced with the best and felt pretty comfortable. So the wild side of me, the pumped up side of me, I think I don't regret at all.
Yeah.
It's just part of me because I knew that when it was required, if you were to watch me on the pitch, I've never been a berater of defenders. I've always been a work with my teammate. I've always looked to make a save. I'd like to think that if I made a save or chucked one in, you wouldn't be able to tell because I'm completely the same. But before the tunnel, the atmosphere got to me. But to say it got to me doesn't mean that it hurt me. It got to me, it made me feel good, it made me feel pumped, it made me feel excited. I knew that I was always second in line, so I'd have a captain in front of me. And I always thought, I've got people behind me. Like, if they're to see this huge frame, someone who's not afraid, if it needs to go off right now, if it's not afraid to lean in and do that for them, because that's what I need to do. I felt like I'm a defender. So the little strikers, the guys who are focused on the game, the big Joe will take care of that, not a problem. I'll rip people out, no bother. And I felt like that's what I loved being and what I needed to be. Whether it's right or wrong, like we talked about earlier in our conversation, I don't know. But that was what got the best out of me. And like I say, with the talent that I got, I certainly got the best out of myself.
But I don't think we're looking for like what is right or wrong, because I don't think that answer is there. It's what's right for you. And I'm interested in, how did you get yourself into that state of high arousal where you are the defender of the team, you are the guy that everyone can rely on, and do so in that controlled way that when the whistle blows, I'm going to deliver.
It never stopped. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't sitting at home, stretching and working on strategy, but just kind of how I was all the time was, I like to think if I could stick a pair of gloves on with a 20-minute warm-up with a goalie coach that I wanted to work with and 2 goalies or 1 goalie that I trusted, I'd feel good to go. And that's probably the biggest thing that's going to whack me in 2 months' time, 2 years' time. I don't know, but like that's how I've lived since I was a kid, and I don't need to live like that anymore. So that's going to be interesting to find out what that is. But that constant state, I've never been more than 2 weeks. I don't think I've been more than 8 days on a treatment table. So I've always been out scrapping, fighting, going in goal, making saves, making blocks, arguing, having a laugh. So it was a constant state of which that, but always when I was in goal in a game, I knew that I had to be at peace with what was going on, and that was how I played my football, but not through a conscious decision. It was because I knew that was what worked for me.
Before we finish the conversation about England, we're about to enter a major tournament, and you will see for the first time in a long time, being outside of professional football, how it feels. Talk about the burden of wearing the England shirt. We spoke with Danny Cipriani on this podcast, who says every time he watches England, he sees tight, restrictive players because he thinks that they're just thinking about the game too much because they know what comes with it. How can we all help to lift the burden that comes with putting on that shirt? Or maybe we shouldn't.
I didn't feel that way personally.
Right.
I feel that there's a lot of noise, and rightly so. There's a lot of opinion, and rightly so. And there's a lot of theories when it doesn't go well that the shirt weighs too heavy. But inside a camp that I've always been in and been a part of, there's not those conversations. It's a conversation of what are we going to do? How are we going to tactically play this? What's the opposition? Just like when you play Lincoln City in a pre-season friendly, you're looking to beat them, you're looking to win. I can only speak for myself, but the badge or the expectation didn't weigh on me. I knew it was there, and I felt it was there and felt it was right, because why not? Why would you not reach for it? Because I'm part of teams where the expectation is to win, and we've won. So, and I've not been a part of a team that's not expected to win and win. So I don't know how that feels either. But I know how it feels to be part of a team that's expected to win, and then that team wins. And I've been part of teams that's expected to win and doesn't. But that comes with the territory of being a good team. That comes with the territory of being a top team who can go to levels. So I wouldn't ask for it to be taken away, because I feel like a top player and anyone that I've been around has just had too much focus on what they're doing in terms of a game of football, rather than worrying whether the people watching are happy or not.
And when you reflect on your England career, how would you describe it?
Ask 2 different people, right? One, amazingly proud, made incredible memories, stuff that will never be taken away from me, made the people closest to me dearly happy, my town incredibly proud. And then ask another guy, and didn't do anything, nothing. Had opportunities and didn't take them. Not sad, not upset, but being frank, didn't do anything with the time that I got to wear the jersey. Because we didn't win. Because other teams scored more goals than us, and I let goals in and we didn't score. Without, I promise you, I'm not being rude there. Like that.
No, I don't feel you are. But I'm interested in that. You're obviously.
Are you asking why we didn't win? Why I didn't think we'd cross the line?
I'm interested as somebody that's been in that environment. Why do you not feel that, given the talent that was there, the that focus on going and performing, why did we not win?
Me personally, all the times that we went out of tournaments, we just fell the wrong side of tight games. I can go into those games right now in my head, and losing a penalty shootout to Italy. Then we went out the 2014 World Cup, close game with Italy, we lost 2-1. Close game with Uruguay, we lost 2-1. At the tournament, see you later, pack your bags, off ski. A good Italy team, good Euro, not great, but good. Then we went to 2016, stuttered our way through the group, played Iceland, not a good performance, banged our head against a brick wall at the tournament. Not through lack of trying, not through lack of effort, not through lack of quality. You just fall the wrong side of games. And that's not an excuse. That's my only reason I can give you. It wasn't down to being expectation. It wasn't down to lack of will. It was just falling the wrong side of games. And when you're in tournaments that come around every 2 years, which are world level, if you get to semi-finals, finals, and you fall the wrong side of one game, then fair enough. But facts are, fell the wrong side in any of the games, you're gone. And I did when I was a part of that team.
And that was your final England tournament, 2016.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on that tournament?
I don't think I played well. I let a poor goal in against Wales. I think I played, doing wrong, 90%, 95% of my game was good, was rock solid. And I let a poor goal in against Iceland, which in a 2-1 loss and a loss against a team that we should beat is important. So I played an important part in a game that we lost. But I still feel quite comfortable with how I played, how I prepared. Like I say, what can I do now? It wasn't through lack of effort, put it that way.
Because to prepare for this interview, I went and watched back a bunch of those 2016 games. Because I think in hindsight, I remember the criticism. In fact, I messaged, John Ruddy, a friend of mine and fellow goalkeeper. I said, I'm chatting with Joe Hart today. What would you love to know? He said, I can't believe people use the Iceland pre-game incident to effectively end his England career. Remember him being super pumped up in the tunnel. We lost to Iceland. He'll admit it wasn't a great moment, but for people suggesting that it was because he was too pumped up is utterly ridiculous. That's from a fellow goalkeeper. Yeah. You agree with that?
People are free to say what they want. And that narrative's never going to be good if you lose a game. I could have been stood there dormant, silent. He wasn't up for the game. I could have chewed my chewing gum slowly, not up for the game. Chewed it too fast. Admittedly, I probably was. I was pumped. I was ready, but I was ready to win a tournament. Like, that's what I was ready to do.
And that's what he's saying. And I think what's really interesting is I remember the criticism that swirled around 2016. So going back and watching these games, I expected to see like howlers and rickets and problems. And I was like, hold on, there's like a couple of moments that even you would say, I could have done a bit better 100%. There. But even they weren't. And it just got me thinking about how you learn to deal with what feels often like really unfair scrutiny.
Because you talked about how an England player feels or would feel, and I'm in and around the best in terms of players, in terms of coaches. I've made friends through the years with serious football people. And their opinion is important to me. My family's opinion is important to me. I'm not saying it's not important that someone says he was too pumped up for the game, but I get that it's a flippant comment. I get that it's a comment of someone who knows nothing about me, knows nothing about how I work day to day, knows nothing about the previous however many 100 appearances I'd made with medals around my neck. I was in exactly the same mode, exactly the same person, but I just didn't perform. So how can you please everyone when, if you do, you'd make errors at such a high scale? It was a high profile game, especially Iceland, and I made a mistake. So cool, the people need to say what they need to say. They need to feel better about England going out the tournament, and I can't get away from it. I was one of the factors we went out that tournament, but like that doesn't that doesn't crush me. That doesn't destroy me. I know for a fact I could do that in my last game. I could have done that in my last ever game. I've walked out, oh, Joe, what a great career. How great are you? You know, what a feeling at Celtic. I could have chucked one in an Old Firm derby. Exactly the same as what I did there. And potentially that would have changed the narrative on my career for now to certain people. But to me, it wouldn't. I'm going out, I'm doing my best, I'm putting it all on the line. I'm getting picked by people who are in really important roles. They're not just your random guy off the street. They're being employed to pick the best players for England, the best goalkeeper in England, the best player for Celtic, the best player for Manchester City. So if these guys believe in me, my defenders believe in me, my people at home who see how I work daily are comfy with me, then we've all got to be okay that every now and again it happens.
So when you think about, I mean, you're describing really powerfully there, Joe, the idea of being a member of a tribe, and your tribe is your family and the professionals that value what you bring to them. Can you think back to a piece of feedback or a bit of coaching that you ever received from somebody within those tribes that really made you sit up and pay attention?
Probably the resounding one was with Jamie, even though he's definitely part of my tribe. And it was when I was waffling on about, I can't do this, I can't do that, this doesn't feel right. He just said, do you know how to go and goal? And I said, yes. And then he smiled. That was it.
That's all you needed.
Well, yeah. I'm probably going to look, there probably should be something more sensational in there, but I only knew how to reach my level as best I possibly could. And that was probably staying in my own lane in terms of trying to get the best out of myself was the best way that I could integrate with a group and work with a team. And often what I'd ask people when I see if they're having a little second guess about themselves or need a little bit of reassurance.
And can I ask you about the fact that when you're a goalkeeper, you can do something that someone in midfield can do and no one even notices because it happens in midfield. If you do it, if the ball slips under your foot, it's a goal.
Yeah.
If the ball slips under a striker's foot 4 or 5 times a game, it can happen and no one sees it. How do you, become comfortable with the fact that the stakes are so much higher for a goalkeeper? But also, what are the tips that you'd suggest for our audience for moments when something bad does come your way? Like how you recover from that going forwards and recover quickly?
So the way I look at it is, I signed up to be a goalkeeper. I signed up. I signed on the dotted line as a person, as a player. So those stakes being higher, they're just my stakes. They just like there's no point in me worrying whether a midfielder gets away with a mistake. There's no point in me worrying if a striker misses a chance, or if I make a mistake and it goes in the goal, or if you don't make a mistake, it's still perceived as your fault. But I signed up to be a goalkeeper, so I don't see it as high stakes. I see it as just my stakes and the life that I live, the life that I'm part of. And as much as I want all the good sides to what makes me feel good as a goalkeeper. Like, you can't have it all. But advice it's hard for me to advise for anyone else other than my mindset and a goalkeeper mindset. And if I ever get asked from a young goalkeeper or a mother or father of their child's a goalkeeper, what's one bit of advice you can give? Like, technically I can't really give any. I can just say, only go and goal because you want to go and goal, because it's the only way you can be a goalkeeper. And I love being a goalkeeper. I love those stakes. They're my stakes, and they're the ones that I live and die by. But you can only do it if you want to do it. I don't think you could do it if you're looking and saying what you said there. If a midfielder makes a mistake or if a striker makes a mistake, it doesn't. That's irrelevant to my life. It's what I do and how I can be a goalkeeper.
This episode is supported by Huel.
What stage of your career did you become a leader? The guy that you wanted people to rely on?
I honestly don't know. And to class myself as it is tough. But I've just kind of always wanted to be, I've always not wanted to lead, but I just wanted to have a relationship with my team, with my teammates, whatever that may be, and then feel together.
Okay.
And often my attitude and how I am has elevated me to a point where people would stick me up. But it kind of resonates with me that I stand behind the captain. I stand with my team behind me. Like, that's always been my feeling, always how I've wanted to feel. So whether I have been or haven't been, that's how I've that's just me. That's how I behave. But I love having people in front of me. I love people I've always loved helping the captains. I've never been a captain. I've always loved helping the captain. If I can help the manager, if I can soften the blow for things, I've always wanted to do that.
And that phrase that you used about you love the idea of all being together, how would you create an environment where people would feel that they were all together?
Getting to know everyone. I think football's one of the most amazing sports where, especially high level, you're getting people from all over the world. And it's very hard for them to just come in and have people to have a personality, because you've got different cultures, you've got different ways of living, you've got people in different stages of their life, and having a conversation with someone, just giving them a little bit of time, giving them a little bit of freedom to be, just kind of assert who they are. Yeah. And then I wouldn't even try and create an environment. I just want people to feel comfortable, and the more comfortable people feel, the better the environment is. So I'd say that would be one of my tools that I'd used, but it's not a tool I use. I just really like doing it, and I loved seeing people become more comfortable. And even the more difficult boys, if you really, really dug, they weren't being difficult because they wanted to cause trouble. It was because they were just a bit uncomfortable with what was going on with them or how they were feeling. And don't get me wrong, it's not down to 4-hour chats, but it's just letting people know, like, you can chill. Like, this is a safe place. You can be yourself, whoever that is, whoever that version of you is. It's cool. We're going to make it work for this team. And beauty of football, as it's been with me, if it doesn't work for you, there's a transfer window coming up. So don't cause yourself drama or cause this team drama for any amount of time, because it's a lot of effort. It ultimately doesn't get you anywhere. And there's a big wide world out there. There's millions of teams that you can go and play for. So just dig in.
It's so nice to sit and have a really sort of honest and open, vulnerable conversation like this. And, you know, when Damien asked you what makes a good culture, and you talk about, well, safety, really the ability to be you, that's really what we're trying to achieve with this show. Is this comfortable for you to talk like this now? Do you enjoy it?
I love it. I absolutely love it, because I don't feel vulnerable here. I feel like you're asking the right questions. You're asking them for the right reasons. I'd imagine a lot of people get a lot of comfort from the guests that you get to feel comfortable. But when you're trying to work out who you are, like we all are in life, and I don't know who I am yet. Like, I haven't cracked it at all, and I don't claim to have cracked it, but you learn things through the way. And I've always felt best when I've just spoken honestly. Yeah. But answer to your question, a great environment. Yeah. Really great environment. You're doing a great job, and it's a pleasure to sit here.
And I think the reason why it matters is it's so easy for us to sit here and talk about all the things we have, all the highs, the great moments, the titles, the trophies, representing your country, shoulders out, all of that. And that's great for people to be entertained by. But I think the true depth here is actually some of the challenges that we all go through. And we have this image that a footballer is bulletproof. And particularly for someone like you that seemed so confident from the outside, this is like the real Joe Hart we get to see now. So can we talk about a period where it was tough, and actually what it was like on the inside rather than the perception from the outside, this period of going to Torino, which I think by all accounts was fun, and I can see the smile on your face straight away, but then West Ham, and then Burnley, and then Spurs. What would you like to share with us about that period in your career?
Torino was a strange part of my life before. The manager had come in. It was mid-August. By the time it was pretty certain that I needed to go elsewhere. Yeah. So I was looking elsewhere. I was, like I say, I had 3 years left on an unbelievable contract that I'm, forever grateful, but I felt I earned. But anyway, it was a tough contract for someone to take on. And you know how the goalkeeping market works. People have got their number ones, certainly got their number ones who are getting, those sorts of contracts or would demand those sorts of transfer fees. So I was a little bit like, where am I going to go here? Anything that I kind of thought was going to happen got snuffed out. We got late. I think it was maybe 27, 28 of August, maybe. That's me.
So something must have happened then late in that summer where you just thought, actually, I need to get out of here now.
No, I was constantly like that. But it wasn't desperation. It was like, that's what I need to do. Constant communication with the club. The manager was playing Willie Caballero because the club weren't going to bring anyone in, even though I knew that it was either Ter Stegen or Bravo that were trying to bring in, but they needed me gone. To which I was like, I'll go because I need to go, because I need to play. It's Sam Allardyce's first England camp. I went and sat down with Sam. He said, look, if you can play football, you're in my team. You know, I'm comfortable with how you play. I think you're going to be important. And then I don't know how the maths or the calculations came about, but I was told that I could go to Torino. I was like, right, okay. Didn't ask any more questions. Spoke to Patrick Vieira, who'd played for Juventus, obviously the same city. Says it's a beautiful city. We didn't get into it or why, and then I spoke to Sinisa, the late Sinisa Mihailovic, who and Alexander Kolarov knew, and he said, come and play for me. You can come and play for me. I want you to come and play for me. So I said, all right, I'll come play for you. I didn't really get into the depths of how it worked because I don't think it should work, but it did. I asked my wife what she thought, and she said, you know, let's go. Why not? Because I told her that, look, if I don't go, it could be a problem for me playing for my country. And I'm not going to get in at Manchester City. So we took it and we went, and it was a beautiful club, amazing club to play for, amazing city, very up and down, kind of good some games, not good some games. I'd say personally I played okay. I wasn't elite level that I would put myself at, but we can't be great all the time. And it was an indifferent environment, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. Try and great and beautiful support, and try and make the most out of it, and then look to move permanently the next summer. So I've still got 2 years left on my deal, or 3, I don't know. Anyway, the reason I talk about the length of my contract is because the club, even though they didn't want me, they couldn't just give an England goalkeeper away for free. They still, you know, it's still a business. There's still a price tag on my head.
Yeah.
And then I was starting to become slightly less desirable at this point because of my narrative with the greatest, one of the greatest coaches in the world wasn't feeling me.
But can I ask you that during that year, that first year when Guardiola comes in,
yep,
the club aren't doing well. He's not, that his vision isn't being materialised, that the goalkeeper they brought in to replace you wasn't tearing up any trees. What was your perception of that looking back from Italy?
I tried not to have one because I didn't want to cause myself any bother of something that I had no control over.
Okay.
I knew the club worked hard to get this coach. I knew this coach was going to be successful. So he was going to get the time, and if it didn't work then, it would work in the future. So emotionally, I didn't get too involved in it. No, I didn't. I'm not even trying to get away from it. I didn't.
You said there, like, one of the world's most celebrated coaches was the man that didn't want me, and that brings an additional sting. Like, did that hurt you as well, the fact that it wasn't just another coach? This is Pep Guardiola saying no. No, because he's just another guy. Like, don't me wrong, he's deserves everything that he gets. He's stepped up at the highest level, but I'd still had plenty of important people, and I still believed in myself. So you can't be everyone's cup of tea. And it's not like he wasn't picking me for his Sunday league team.
Yeah,
he didn't want me to be one of the greatest teams proven now in the world. So there's other levels, there's other teams to go to, there's other opinions. But when it comes to the football world of where you fit, that makes it more difficult. And that's not, football's a business, right? It's a high-end business, billion pound industry. And there's lots of people who want to be involved in it. And whilst your stock's high, you can dictate the market. If it dips, others will rise. You fit in financially, you need to work into people's packages. And I was struggling, and put on top of that, I had a difficult perception of my previous tournament in France with England. So we had that to not being wanted at Manchester City, then having a okay season by probably many people's standards, but to the standard of which I put myself to. My stock's not high, but again, 3 years left. Probably a huge price tag on my head, people that all of a sudden weren't willing to pay. Where maybe 3 years previously, if I'd have been offered, I'd have had a lot of opportunities. But now it's, what does it bring? What does Joe Hart bring? What sort of would that be celebrated as a signing? Would it? I don't think it would necessarily, with the money that would probably be needed to be asked. That's the business side of me thinking. So I was like, I need to go permanent. I really need to go permanent. Nothing permanent materialised. A few good loan options, incredible loan options. West Ham being one of them, which I was really excited. I had to climb down from my stance of I needed to go permanently. I didn't want to be a 30-year-old loanee. Business meant that I couldn't, and there wasn't anything for me. So, I'll take the loan, and I'd love to go and be part of West Ham. That was probably, as a player, I didn't reach my levels that year. It was Slavan was in. The mood was indifferent around the new London Stadium. West Ham's the kind of place that if you play well, I'm sure you'll be lauded, but I don't know that feeling. I played okay, and then in big moments, wasn't great. David Moyes came in, decided to take me out of the team. So at this point, it's not looking good for me where I am in the football world. You're asking where I am from a head point of view. I'm just doing my best, working hard, being around my teammates, constantly looking to improve.
And are you thinking at this point, if I do well at West Ham, I could go back and prove Pep wrong and get back in the City first team?
No.
In your head, that's gone?
No, never even crossed my mind. But I didn't think about if I do well. I was thinking, I need try and do well, Yeah. I didn't want to get caught in the chess moves of if I did this and then if I did that, then maybe I'll go here.
Right.
I didn't want to get lost in that. I was old enough to know that what matters is what I'm doing every day that I step on the training ground, every day that I get the chance to step into a match situation.
Yeah. And have you thought about why the performances weren't what you wanted? And I wonder whether it is anything to do with this narrative having changed. I mean, I was looking at some newspaper articles around the time that you went to West Ham, and I'm not even going to name them because they don't deserve any credit, but one of them wrote Joe Hart's 5 biggest blunders. West Ham fans better get ready for some mistakes. And then I will name this one. The Daily Telegraph did a whole article about you're vulnerable low down to your left or something like that. I'm thinking, when did this become the conversation around Joe Hart,
I don't know. But I don't blame people for writing those articles. I don't blame people for sensationalizing what could be perceived as a downfall, because that is the world and the business that I'm in. Like I say, it's not ideal. We all want our tires pumped up, and rightly so. I've had some incredible headlines written about me, but it's whatever, Like I say, I just really wanted to stay in the moment, stay on the training field, and try my best every day to prove to the people around me that mattered. It was David Moyes at the time, proved that I was worthy of another go. I wasn't thinking about the chess move that came from it, or at this time I was still playing for England. I didn't know that it was going to cost me my England place, but I just was trying to stay in the moment, and I stayed in the moment. And look, it didn't work out. I came out the England team. I didn't finish the season at West Ham, but I was okay with that because I was in the moment and I was doing everything that I could, and everything that I'd done when I was stood there with Premier League titles around my neck, England caps, England captain's armband. I was doing exactly the same things, or working to not the same things because we all evolve, but I mean with the same principles and same energy and same focus. It just wasn't working for me in the wide world of football. But nothing was saying, nothing's promised, nothing's given. I wasn't owed anything. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to stay strong, stay focused, stay in it. And I thought, I'll get what I'm due.
Huel has been a staple of my diet for some time, and I'm currently loving these Huel Daily A to Z vitamins. Tastes great, refreshing. Each can has 26 vitamins and minerals, offering 154 science-backed health benefits. Reduced tiredness and fatigue, normal cognitive function, healthy skin, hair and nails, and vitamin D for immunity. This is a vitamin drink that offers everything you could need it to. So what are you waiting for? Grab it right now in Tesco stores nationwide or at Huel.com and let me know what you think.
And were you ever tempted to engage in anything that might have been perceived as gimmickry? Like looking for something new or different, or, some people would reach out for superstitions, or in Tony Cascarino's famous book, he spoke about he started to dye his hair darker because he didn't want to give the impression that any grey hairs would mean he's getting old, and therefore that narrative starts to establish him, oh, he's an old man now. Were you tempted to do anything like that?
Do you know what I loved watching recently was the quarterback documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I loved watching how all of them, but particularly Mahomes, all the stuff that he did off the field. And if I were to start again now, I'd probably look at something like that. But this was only 2 years ago, and I was pretty set, and physically I was at my maximum with the load that I was doing.
Yeah.
But there was an Energizer bunny that when I was his age, you had more. But I felt I still got respect that at the time when I was that age, that I was still doing everything I possibly could. So it's not like I was leaving something away. It's just now I learned more. So I don't regret that I didn't do it then, but it just made me smile. But no, in answer to your question, I always feel and felt like I was pushing myself to the limit and getting everything out of myself. And like I say, sometimes it had great results, and sometimes it had pretty average ones.
But were you tempted to do anything even to try and shift the narrative? So that, like, maybe do more media appearances, like maybe do something to curry favour with...
No,
clubs?
I didn't. I like I say, I respect that world, and I respect that people have opinions and will sensationalize good and bad, but like it was completely out of my control. And what I knew was in my control, like I say, it brought me into a place where I feel comfortable. My feet were on the ground, gloves were on my hands, and I felt like I could push myself to the limit.
What's the biggest thing you learned?
To stay in the moment, stay really, really present, try my best to get the most out of it, not look for shortcuts, and enjoy the moment, enjoy the tough times, enjoy the good times, and don't let them necessarily dictate who and what you are.
But as a father and a husband, would your wife or your children have noticed any difference in you during this tough time?
Perceived tough time. It was not perfect for me football-wise. I don't know. I'd imagine so. I'd imagine there'd be tells. Like, there's no point in saying that I was skipping around happy, but it's just it's a focus. Like I say, it was a focus and it was an energy to be at my best.
But the reason I asked, Joe, is because I'm interested for anyone listening to this that might want to offer a helping hand to people in their lives that need it at that time. And I'm interested in, did they do anything that you felt had...
Love this. How are you coping? First time, the first period we talked about, how are you coping with, not being in the team? I'm all right. How your dad, your mum, wife, how are they? What do they ask you? How are you? And what do you tell them? Yeah, I'm all right. All right, I'm going to flip it. How would you behave if you felt like one of them was struggling? What would you want to do for them? I'd want to help them. Right, okay, so why would you not let them take part of your burden? And immediately, yeah, you're right, because me thinking I'm protecting everyone, it's fine, relax, I'll get through it, it's fine. But I would never let that happen to someone who I cared about, ever. I'd want to take them, let them know that everything's all right, let them know that, look, it's just a moment in time. And that was a huge moment for me. And it really helped me with relationships, all my relationships, because when you think, I thought I was protecting, I wasn't. I was probably just, I was leaving people in the cold, and people that cared about me and wanted to help and wanted to love, and I wasn't letting them. So that was actually a really good moment, and something that I use a lot now when I speak to people when I see young players or middle of their career players who are just kind of got that, like, I'll be all right, I'm getting through it. That it's a really empowering thing to have help and have a good team around you.
Would you take us to the moment where you decided to say...
Oh, right there, soon as he said that. As soon as I realised, just like when he said, so what's Xavi's family like? And I couldn't answer him. A guy that I'd worked with for 3 months, I hadn't asked him one question about himself.
So did you go home and tell your wife?
Yeah. And my dad, and my mum, and everyone, and my boys, and my gang.
What did you say to them?
Exactly what happened. I laughed about it.
After West Ham came Burnley,
yeah,
and then Tottenham. What was the hardest period for you in this part of your career?
Burnley, I came in. Obviously, I spoke with Sean, a man who's on a real level. He told me he thought he could bring me an opportunity, and I could help him, and he could help me. And I agreed with him. Came in, obviously in amongst Tom and Nick, two awesome goalkeepers, two guys that I love to pieces as well. But circumstances, injuries, football. I thought I did okay. In fact, I played well. I thought I played well. I was happy with my levels, but I came out the team because the team weren't winning, which is difficult, but man's got to make a decision. He told me that he'd changed every player in the team. He hadn't changed me, so he was going to do that. He had Tom Heaton fit and ready to play. Tough, but he's got to do what he's got to do. The world, again, does not revolve around me. Excuse me. Tom came in, did excellent, fully asserted himself as a back in after a tough couple of months for him, who was living his own story and his own life, and I'm sure would have a great conversation with you about his time there, but it wasn't mine. I came out, finished the rest of the season on the bench for Tom, and then this was the window where I thought, open dialogue with the club. If you need to go somewhere, Joe, go and do it. You've got our backing. Thank you. No animosity. And I looked, and there was nowhere for me to go. Literally nowhere. I think I'm one of three at this point. There probably was some conversations of somewhere to go, but nowhere I thought, nowhere that I wanted to play.
And how did that feel?
I don't know. It didn't feel anything. It was, it wasn't disheartening. It was just everyone around me at that time was, I'd asked to deal in facts.
Yeah.
So I was getting facts. That's what I asked for.
But your ego isn't going, hold on, I'm Joe Hart. I'm available on a free. Why are people not bashing the door down here? Well,
because the footballing world makes the right decisions. So if I'm not fitting, I'm not fitting. There's no personal vendetta about stopping me from playing the game. No one was, I'd imagine not many people were going, nah, no chance. They were just going, you know what, no, it doesn't work for us. We prefer go down this route. It doesn't work for us. We'd go down this route. Because I know for a fact that you couldn't, it's not like people were going, we've heard he's a bad person, he's a bad egg. It was none of that. It was just I didn't fit anywhere that I thought that I wanted to play. And what can you do? I still had a year at Burnley. I said, all right, I'll stay and I'll play. And Tom went. Nick was back fit. Incredible goalkeeper for Burnley. And I just had to, the window closed. So then I had to accept my position and do my best for Burnley, the team that employed me. Great group of guys, great group of players who were doing something that just didn't involve me at the time, but I was still part of the squad. So stay fit, stay strong, stay active. January comes round. What's available? Again, not surprised. Nothing's available. Nothing that I wanted to do. And then COVID came. So COVID came, and obviously that threw everything into the air. Made everything difficult for everyone. I think my contract expired during whatever transfer window was concocted during that time. To which I felt, right, okay, I'm free to just take a breath here. I'm out of contract. I need to be open to all conversations, to which I obviously want to play. I love playing football. Then I was able to have a conversation with one club about potentially coming in as not as a one, but to work. And then Jose wanted to speak to me about potentially working at Tottenham, to which I knew full well, Hugo's there, but he wanted to have a conversation with me. To which I said, I can't speak to him until everything else is off the table, because I know him. I know if I speak to him, I'm done. I'm signing. Like, he's an amazing person. So, and it wasn't a conversation like he's a grown up, I'm a grown up. It wasn't a conversation where he'd come and say, I knew he wasn't going to say, look, if you do well, you'll be number one. I knew what the conversation would be. It would be a support to a top class goalkeeper, who you never know, might not play for injury or loss of form, but very highly unlikely. Hugo's an elite operator. But anyways, it got to the point where I was like, let's speak. Spoke to him. I told him where I'm at. I told him I understood what would be asked of me, and I'd love to come and help. If I can help Tottenham and help him. I said, look, I'm not telling you, I don't expect to come in as one. I want to come and help the team, the squad, and as long as you respect that, then you'll have a a top class person and goalkeeper, to which he said, come on down. So I went down. So Tottenham would probably be seen as a difficult time. It wasn't, because I said, when I agreed to go to Tottenham, I said to my people around me, I said, I need to accept the worst case scenario. If I'm going to sign up to this, because I need to accept that I might not play a minute and it might be a very frustrating year for me. So I'm going to accept that in front of all of you.
Right.
So that and you will never hear me moan about not playing a game. Obviously, in the conversations, it would be, Hugo's an older goalkeeper. There'd be moments where we're going to need you in the cups and the Europa League. That was what was the conversation, but that's not promised. That's not. Yeah. There's no contract that I signed that says that comes with it. So it wasn't a difficult year for me. It wasn't. I played the games that I played. When I did, I played well. I did my best to help in and around. It was great to be around that environment. Son, Kane, back with Eric. Højbjerg, Jose Mourinho. It was a proper environment. It's a COVID year. There's no fans. It's strange for all of us. Really strange. But that wasn't anything other than I'd signed up for, and to try and get the best out of it. And I did feel good there. I felt like I helped. I felt like an important part of the squad. But whatever, it's perceived how it is. But I'm sure, I'd like to think if you spoke to anyone who was part of that squad, then they'd say the same thing. Joe did his best to help the team, like I have done when I played or not played.
I love that bit that you just threw in there, Joe, about you got your people around you and you outlined, this is what I'm signing up for here. I'm not expecting to play.
No, I'm not expecting to play.
But
I'm saying, look, I wanted to play 50 games for Tottenham. Of course, when I signed on the dotted line, that's what I wanted. But I said, you won't hear me complaining if...
And that's a bit that really intrigues me. Like, why was that so important to publicly state that to your group, that you weren't going to complain? And
so no one thought that I was being deluded, and no one thought that they thought in the back of their head that their advice would be to me if I went, you know what, I've got this great opportunity at Tottenham, and if I start pre-season well and get in the team, I know we go way back, and I know 90% of them would go miles off it. What are you doing? You're deluded. You've lost the plot. And rightly so. I would have been deluded to say that. We all felt it as a team. We all felt that if I do get an opportunity, and if however the cards fall and I get an opportunity. But I think there's a huge difference between that being a possibility and that being the reason that we're going.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get it out. This is not me being defeatist. These are me saying, for us to move forward and us to all be comfortable with what's going on, I want you to all know that I do realise what I'm walking into here.
I love that though, because it reminds me of when we spoke to Steve Hansen, who was the head coach of the New Zealand rugby union team. He revelled in dealing with uncomfortable truths. That idea of let's lean into these things rather than deny them and pretend it won't happen. Let's lean into them and discuss the uncomfortable truth. And that seems to be a hallmark of high performers like Steve and like yourself. How important have you found being prepared to confront uncomfortable truths?
Do you know what I've loved in all moments, good, bad, or indifferent? I loved clarity, and that was me being clear.
Yeah,
and that's when I've felt at the best. And I don't mean performance-wise, not at performance-wise. I mean at best in how I behave and how I wanna act when I've got clarity. Like I say, very easily could that be seen as someone who's waving the white flag. But I think if you're open and clear, everyone, like I say, my people that matter, they know me and they understand that I'm going there to do business, but I'm also not deluded, and I'm also realised that I'm going to have to be part of a greater good, of which I was trying to be.
And how did it end at Tottenham?
Not well. Didn't need to end how it ended, if honest. The new manager came in. I think the club realised that they needed to make changes. He had different ideas, of which I wasn't one of them.
Right.
A bit of a random conversation about where I stood.
What did he say?
He said that he didn't feel comfortable. No, because I'd asked him, said, do we need to have a conversation? Because I knew they were bringing another goalkeeper in.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hugo was number one, club captain. So it's like doing the maths. and it didn't quite work. So I said, do we need to have a conversation? Yeah, we'll have a conversation after training. This was a couple of weeks in. You go first. He said that he wouldn't feel comfortable playing me. He didn't feel like I was a level to which could work in one of his teams, which is fine. Like, if that's how he felt, then fair enough. But he was wrong. 1, and 2, if you need me to go, just tell me. Like, I'm a grown up. You can have a good conversation. But he might have felt that. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong. I didn't feel it needed to go that way. However, like I say, the world doesn't revolve around me. And then I had a year left on my contract. And Tottenham being the business that they are, obviously then needed to move me on. And I was quite cool with, okay, that's enough now.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Had you not got a bit more personal than that though, Nuno? Did I read? Is that...
No, what you read, it would have been what he said, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah. But what I said and what you read would have been what was said.
So it was something like, you wouldn't play a minute for me.
Yeah.
Or you've not got the strength.
Yeah, that was it. There's a moment in your life where, in your career, I think maybe he was giving me advice in his opinion, as apparently he played in goal. Maybe he felt that at some point, and he felt like he saw that in me. I didn't agree, but whatever. That's what he felt he needed to do, and that's what the club needs to do. But like I say, Tottenham then need to. They're a good business. They're not going to have me sat there and 2 other goalkeepers, because Pierre Galini was already in the door. But I kind of went home. I was like, you know what? I've had enough. That's cool. I think I'm okay with this being my final page. I feel like I've got a lot to give, but there's no real space for me in the footballing world anymore. And I've had a good ride, so no problem. We'll chill. And then the club, I think, obviously put the feelers out, and I'd spoken to whispers of speaking to Celtic previously, and of which immediately got me interested. And then they've said, would you have a conversation with Ange Postecoglou? And I said, of course I will. Like, I'm always open to conversations, completely open. Why not? I didn't know Ange. I didn't know I didn't know his pedigree. I knew that he'd just become Celtic manager, and spoke to him, and it was a very, very, very honest conversation, especially from my point of view. I said, look, please don't let me come across as defeatist, but I'm in a spot here where I don't know if I want to be a part of the professional world of football anymore. I said, I'm not sad, I'm not down, I just don't feel I fit. And for me to fit, I said, I need to be given a chance. I need to be understood, and I want the opportunity to play. I said, just please listen to me when I'm saying. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm saying that's what I need to get the best out of me. Ange, an incredible man manager, said, you know what? I've done my research on you, so I'm not gonna try and fill you out as a person. He said, I've spoke to enough people about you for me to not have to even make a decision. He said, football-wise, I can't promise you anything, but I can promise you an opportunity. So if you do come up here, and you do want it, I feel like it could work. And I said, I also said, look, family-wise, I said, football's not number one in our house anymore. Right. So if I do come, I'm coming on my own. I said, but you don't have to trust me. You don't know me, but just trust me that I'm all in. I'm completely all in, but I will be working between the two on days off and things like that. So I don't want that to upset you. And if that's going to upset you and upset the balance in the dressing room, then I'm putting all my cards on the table. And he said, look, I can't tell you how it's all going to work, but that's not a big no-no for me. I feel like we can start a relationship and we can go from there, which I said, that's enough. That's enough for me. That's enough. The fact that you're even willing to listen to my so-called demands, they're not demands, but like what would really make me tick and potentially get the best out of me, I'd do anything for you. Like, let's do this. So bam, bam, bam. Tottenham, obviously, I think it was muted that there was some sort of price or some sort of a transfer fee. Not that I'm aware of. It was contract done. Yeah. Can I get myself up the road? To which I did.
Mate, that feels like a really brave thing. I think even when you've gone, I think I'm done with football. That's one thing. To then get an opportunity at a club as big as Celtic and still say to the manager, look, I don't feel I fit in football anymore. Like that takes some bravery and maybe a bit of fit.
I was just being honest. I did not think that I could do it. I knew I could do it.
Didn't you worry though that like this could remove an amazing opportunity if I say this?
No, because I wanted to be honest with someone. I just wanted to tell them the truth. And I didn't know Celtic at the time, but I knew enough about them that you don't mess with that club in terms of, you don't play games. If that conversation was with someone else, maybe slightly local to him, do I say those things? Maybe not. Because I'm like, you know what? Because it's work at the end of the day. It's like, can't get away from it. This is a job. You're a professional footballer. You don't have to love it. I'm just lucky that I do. And most of the places I've gone, I've been madly in love with it. But if I was going to go up there, I needed to be in love with it. I needed to be given the opportunity to fall in love with it. And so I didn't feel vulnerable, no.
Hey guys, do you want £350 off the latest generation 8 Sleep Pod 4 Ultra? It's a pod added to your existing mattress, proven to give you up to 1 hour more quality sleep every night. It's used by sports people, it's used by titans of industry, it's even used by me. And there's nothing else like it on the market. It heats, it cools, it adjusts, and it uses sensors to track your sleep with 99% tracking accuracy. Sleeping on the pod for just 1 week can improve your cardiovascular health as much as 12 weeks of strength training. So to get £350 off the latest generation 8 Sleep Pod 4 Ultra, just go to 8sleep.com/HPP. That's 8sleep.com/HPP.
And when people talk about Ange, I mean, one of the features that often comes out is man management, his ability to build relationships. And you've spoken about that being something important to you. Once you've delivered these uncomfortable truths to him and he's decided to accept that football's not number one in your house and the different geographical arrangements, what did he do that sort of lit that spark again that made you think, I'm going to relocate to Glasgow, I'm going to go all in?
Nothing, just let me be. I didn't need anything else. I don't need anything else to be lit. There's a spark in me, always. He just let it burn, if you like.
He got something out of you, though, that Tottenham didn't, Burnley didn't, West Ham didn't. Something happened.
I don't know. I don't know. Because at Burnley, I don't feel that I played badly. I still felt like I was playing well. It just obviously we didn't do well as a team. Tottenham, I signed up for something where kind of, even if you do play well, there's a well-established top goalkeeper that they've already got on their books who, unless anything ridiculous happens. So like I say, I was still, at a level that I felt was my level.
What I think is very interesting about this, right, is that we all have a perception of what we think you have to be a good footballer, right? And we have a perception of what you don't need to be a good footballer. And actually, if we look at your career, right, when you were absolutely 100% all in the tunnel for England, right, people were using that as criticism, right? But then fast forward 10, 12, whatever years to when you're at Celtic and you're basically going, look, this football's no longer number one, and look at the performance you're putting in. So maybe we need to totally rethink.
It was still number one in my being, in my
But you had a freedom, I think, of like, it wasn't everything anymore, was it? It wasn't what it was when you were 18.
But it wasn't everything then. I wasn't thinking, how can I get to the top? It was just absolutely play and enjoy it. So I don't know if I've not communicated it right, but when I said it wasn't number one in my house, it was that there were far more important people in terms of stability and a living situation. But it was still, once I was in Glasgow and once I was on the training field, I wasn't thinking about anything else.
But you had freedom, maybe. Like you were more mature, you had other things in your life, and that was probably good for you. No?
I think I was the same lunatic, yeah. I don't know, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, what you're saying makes sense, but I just want to be really clear that I was still as passionate, as involved. It's just living-wise, that was it.
So what was the situation like at home where you've gone home from Tottenham and said, I think the chapter's closed now, or maybe football's done? And then, however long after, you then did saying, I'm going to relocate up to Glasgow. What was their reaction?
It was just a constant communication. Like I say, from when I learned that all that time ago to because I could have easily just said, just bear with it. We'll see what happens. But instead, I was like, I went home and I said, you know what? I'm not sensationalizing this. That I don't know whether I don't know, because when you need a new club, you need to fight for it. You need to search for it. Right. You need to be on the phone to your agent. You need to be working out who's like doing the chess moves. That's what I've loved, not doing the chess moves. If he goes here and he goes there's an opportunity. I said, I'm not in that zone anymore. You're not going to hear me trying to work out a situation. If this is what it needs to be, then this is what it is. Obviously, to which, she said, and everyone around me, you've got a lot more to give. I said, yeah, I know that, but there's no point in me putting my energy into something that's not there. And like I say, that everyone's been on the ride and understood that that's true. They couldn't really argue. It's true.
Yeah.
I was only telling the truth. So it wasn't a case of not having the energy or not being good enough. There just wasn't necessarily a place. And then I come home and I got told to have a conversation. So I just passed that on. And the conversation went. I walked in and passed how it went. How are you feeling? I quite like the sound of it. Okay, keep me updated.
Right.
If I do go, I've told them that you're going to stay.
Right. Let's talk about Celtic.
Right.
Tell us about Celtic Football Club.
What do you want to know?
Whatever you want to tell us.
I don't know. It's a special place that will forever be in my heart, and a team that I support and I'm incredibly proud to play for, and a great experience. Something that I'm very proud to have done.
So from the outside, we think we know what it must feel like to play for Celtic, like a big club, amazing atmosphere, passionate fans. Glasgow is this goldfish bowl of pressure, expectation, passion. What is it actually like to play for Celtic?
It's all those things, but at the same time, it's very personal. In such magnitude, there's a real personal feel to it, especially being up there, getting to know people, making friends. Everyone associated with the club, very much wanting to find out how you are, how you feel, how they feel you're performing, what they feel can be better. Always something on the horizon, always, some sort of madness bubbling away, brewing, always some sort of adventure around the corner. Just a really high octane place to play football, and a really, really enthralling thing that I absolutely loved. And it was everything that I love about football.
And can you tell us how it felt to suddenly be central to a team again after a few years in the wilderness, perhaps, to be perceived to be playing brilliantly, to be picking up trophies, like to be almost back to how it had started?
It felt right. It felt right. We talk about, if I look at my career, I know we've probably gone into more depth about less than 10% of it, because that's what's interesting. I get that bit's interesting. I really do, because a lot more thoughts and a lot more emotional decisions were made. But like the majority of my career has been a number one, has been playing well, has been leading, has been lifting trophies. So it felt right. And
you said after your final game, I've never felt professionally this special my entire life. Could you explain that?
So I got to do something really unique, I think, because football's a fast business. And I decided I was going to finish. I wanted to own the fact that I was going to finish. I told people early. I told a truly special football club that I wanted to finish with them because I loved them. I didn't want anything else. I didn't want anything else in football. Whether it had anything to offer me, I don't know. Didn't even put myself in, didn't have to do those chess moves if he moves here. Didn't even want to go into that. And spoke from the heart about something that was, and it might not have gone well. We could have easily, we were probably second in the league when I said it, and we had a cup final where we were going to have to play our greatest rivals. I could have walked away potless in my last season. But I just wanted people to know that even though I was finishing, I wanted to finish strong, and then did finish strong. Got into a beautiful flow. The team really clicked. Brendan really got us playing how we wanted to play. We got who we were, and we started to really perform. And the buzz of the club, like no matter how many trophies they win, when you're playing well, it's an absolute buzz. The drums were going, the fans were singing, the flares were going off. And it was just an incredible feeling. And then there was they asked me to do they asked me to do a night with Joe Hart, to which I immediately said, because I said when I wanted to retire that I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to do what I need to do, say what I need to say, do the press that day, and then we'll deal with everything else after the season, because the team comes first, winning the league comes first. And they asked me, would you do a night with Joe Hart with about a month to go? I said no. And then I said, you know what, scrap that. You're willing to do that for me? They were like, we'd love to do that for you. I said, that's amazing. That's absolutely beautiful. And I don't feel comfortable doing it, but I'm going to do it, because for you to even come here and ask me to do that is special. Just let me know what I need to do. So we did a night with Joe Hart. Feels weird talking about my name, but that's what it was.
And what was it? Fans invited to come and do a Q&A?
Yeah, it was a Q&A on stage. We brought a few people up. Dave Watson came up. Micah did a bit for me. Brendan and Callum on stage. A 90-minute show. They put it out to the real, because I made some great friends up there. Billy, Tom and Ewan, shout out, who made my life great up there. We did a lot of golf together, spent a lot of time together. And one of them's a, whatever class fan where he gets the tables and stuff like that. And he said they hardly put it out to anyone, and it was a 700 people sellout, and they got that within an hour, which was special, and I didn't really get the magnitude, and I didn't invite enough people from down south, but last minute I ended up getting a few people up, because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, just sat on stage and just went through it and just really enjoyed talking about my experience and being honest and loving the fact that I'd done it. So that was special. Then we managed to win the league. We had a really great derby win at home. No, we went away, drew 3-3 in a mental game. Then that I think we were still points behind, but it meant that a win at home a couple of weeks later would mean that we'd be in the driving seat. And we won that game. It was an unbelievable game, tight game. And then semi-final, missed a penalty, saved a penalty. Like, the story was just getting a bit silly. I actually said in the warm-up at the semi-final, goalie coach Stevie Woods, who I'm really close with, was exceptional for me. I pulled him about 25 minutes into the warm-up, because I'd been emotional with him previously when I was going to finish. I said, I feel really uncomfortable. I said, everything feels right. I said, I'm catching everything. Everything I'm doing is right. I said, I feel really, really uncomfortable.
Because
it didn't feel like it should go that way. Like, life doesn't work like that, does it?
Right.
I said, just keep me grounded. He was like, you are, but I will. I said, I was welling up in the warm-up. I said, keep me grounded, because I don't like it. I'm feeling a bit I'm enjoying it, but I'm aware. We were 1-0 down after 3 minutes, so that was a nice little whack in the chops, but whatever. Anyway, then we managed to win the league. The atmosphere was unbelievable. And then we had a home game to celebrate winning the league, to which it was like the kind of Joe Hart day, which made me uncomfortable. My teammates were unbelievable with me, like, so good with me. And
in what way?
It was getting a bit much about me, and obviously I'm always going to stand there and say thank you when people are being nice to me, and they just sat back and let me be me. And then we had a special last day of the season, a lot of fuss made, not comfortable talking about it in a positive way. Really, really nice day. And then we had a cup final against our greatest rivals. And we win in the 90th minute. 50-50 split, Hampden. What? Yeah. What can you say?
And it is emotional now, even thinking about that period.
Yeah, and I'm a happy, emotional person, right? So I'll cry when I'm happy, and when I've got good things to say. And that was me for a good couple of months.
And that moment where you came out with that tifo, I mean, watching it on the telly, it was emotional at home. I was watching with my little boy, and he was mesmerised by it. I can't imagine your emotions at that point.
I didn't expect anything. I really didn't. I'd already got more than I ever could have asked for in terms of treatment and kind words and how my family were treated. And then I came out for the second half, and I loved that corner, the Green Brigade. I loved the energy that comes from that corner. Every away game, and that bounce and that energy and the songs. Like, that's me. I'd happily be in there, and I will be in there at one point in my life. The kind of like the throb, the songs, the passion for the club. And I came out second half, and I had my ball boy that I get on really well with. He gives me the ball, tests my gloves. It's the second half. But we've won the league, but I'm still a big game. Like, still got, it's my last ever time at Celtic Park. And then I caught at the corner of my eye. It must have already been up. I didn't even, I was trying to compute what was going on. Like, I really struggled to compute what was going on. I thought, is that me? That's me. These people, then they had a song that they sang. And then I had to flip out. I thought, I'm trying to be professional here, but I've got to appreciate this as the guy we talked about previously. And I did, and I just took it all in. And then I just had to kind of clip myself in the jaw a couple of times, like, right, I've got work to do, I've got a job to do. And then I kind of took myself back into it. But then we had trophy lift and families on the pitch, and that club celebrates properly. Like, in the last 13 years, won 12 leagues, and still every single trophy is celebrated like it's everything. And I love that about the place. So that was a special day, a day that will live with me forever, ever and ever and ever, and everyone involved.
And I love like the emotion it brings up. I love the gratitude you obviously have for it, and this kind of feeling that I think sometimes we assume people in a position you're in, they feel entitled. They're like, of course this is happening to me. You still have that wonderful, almost childlike disbelief that you ended up in that position on that pitch as that guy.
Mad. Scared me a little bit, and I'm not a guy who's scared either. Like, I'm not. I always think, you know what, why not? Let's go.
Like, what scared you?
It just scared me. It just made me feel like this is a lot of very good things happening. Not that good things haven't happened to me, but I know I've been there. I've seen how it flows. That was it. That's what scared me. It didn't petrify me. It just made me feel, like I say when I spoke to Woodsy in that warm up. I said, I feel uncomfortable. I didn't not like feeling that way, because I felt amazing. Like, I felt amazing. I was scared, but also feeling great at the same time, So,
well, that takes you back to that summer when you said that you felt unstoppable,
Yeah.
And then what follows from it is almost a survival instinct to protect yourself from what you think inevitably follows.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll forever be on guard for that.
But I'm also interested that you're the ultimate team man. Everything you've spoken about here is standing behind the captain, being the guy that everyone relies on, and yet you look up and it's an evening with Joe Hart. It's Joe Hart Day. That's not about being a team player now. That's about you and the focus on you. And I'm interested that it feels almost it's uncomfortable. How did you reconcile that?
I give myself a slap. So get over yourself. Some amazing people are doing some amazing things for you. Show some damn gratitude.
And did that incredible finish put into perspective some of the more challenging years you had before that?
No, because that was the moment I was in. I didn't do those moments for that.
There was no sense of proving people wrong.
Prove who wrong?
Anyone that didn't believe in you in the hard times, no.
The right people that I needed that mean everything to me believed in me as a person and will continue to. So I'm not out here. Do you know what? I've loved thinking. I've loved proving people right. I've loved proving people right.
And when you look back on the end of your career, I wrote a note to myself that, because you've used this phrase a few times, are you going to miss the football business, or are you going to miss the business of football more? I
was often asked how I was feeling over the last couple of months. And I didn't and still don't feel anything, because I'm still in goal. I'm still thinking about being a goalkeeper. So I'm probably going to have that conversation with you another time, because I don't know what I'm going to miss. Because at the moment I don't miss anything, because I still feel it. So I honestly can't answer the question.
But the reason I make a distinction between it is that you've, like, when you speak about being in the dressing room, being on the field, and being in the football business, you very palpably light up. When you speak around the business of football, there's almost like a coldness to you of, that's how it is, I have to move on. That's how and
I really believe that though. And I really believe that you don't get the highs and you don't get the tifos and you don't get that without it being that business. It's that business for a reason, and it's hard to do well in it for that reason. So I don't feel any coldness towards it. Like, this isn't a game. This isn't something that you sign up for and you pay your subs. It's a business. It's a huge business with a lot at stake, a lot of money at stake, a lot of businesses at stake. So I think you have to respect that, and I really do. But I think the reason that I probably go cold is because that requires a cold attitude.
Sure.
Because if you get emotional to it, you're done.
Yeah. But I'm interested in that you've seemed to have protected brilliantly well that kid from Shrewsbury that just loved jumping around in football. You mentioned the example of Jamie saying, I was playing goal, so you just did it. How did you protect that kid that just, you played football because you loved it, from that hard, cold business?
Because I never wanted anything from the business. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I obviously took, and there were moments, in contract negotiations, I was fully aware of what I felt I was worth, but I didn't want anything from it. If you would have asked me when I was 10, 12, what I wanted, I would have told you probably about the weekend fixture that I'm looking forward to. I never made statement. I didn't look at England players and think I want to be one of them. I thought, Buzz in England are playing, I'll watch that. Or when I watched David Seaman and Pete Schmeichel growing up, I didn't think I wanted to be them. I just thought, look at them. I just loved them for what they were. So I didn't want anything from the game. So I don't feel I had to protect myself because I wasn't being stopped from doing anything I wanted to do. I was always able to play football, always, sometimes in front of stadiums or sometimes behind closed doors, but I was never stopped from playing football.
Before we move on to our quickfire questions, I think the final thing is how you feel having been given this opportunity, riding on the team bus to Shrewsbury at 15, playing in the Premier League at an incredibly young age, representing your country, playing against some of the greatest footballers the world's ever seen, winning pretty much every domestic title you could have ever lifted. How you reflect on the whole journey? Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved it, lived it, done. Right, quickfire questions.
Yep.
You've seen so many cultures, good and bad. You've worked with so many incredible people, positive and negative. What are the 3 non-negotiable behaviours that you've really picked up on and used during your career?
Hard work, honesty, and understanding.
You faced Lionel Messi down on a penalty and saved it. What's that like?
It was an important save at the time because it kept us in the tie. But I didn't see him as anyone else. He was an opponent and I wanted to save his penalty. So yeah, I've got quite a cold view. I'm able to sit here now and smile, but I know I lost that game and that aggregate fixture. So it's a nice one to have, but it didn't mean anything.
Was it not quite cool though that Lionel Messi calls you a phenomenon?
I look at that and I think, did he go out of his way to say it, or was he asked how the goalkeeper on the opposition performed today? And I'd probably, I don't speak Spanish, but I'd imagine he was probably asked how that goalkeeper on the opposition performed, and rightly so, I was that day. But I don't think he was calling me, Joe Hart, a phenomenon.
What is the best advice you've ever been given?
Breathe is an important one. And also to do things for what you feel is the right reason.
Who's been the hardest striker you've ever faced and why?
In games are what they are. People have good games, bad games and situations, but I think it's easier to give this answer from people that I've worked closely with. And Sergio and Harry, striker-wise, are 2 of the cleverest I've played, because as a goalkeeper, you have to give someone something. the closer you get to goal, there's opportunities to score. There's no two ways about it. And the closer they got to goal, the ones that you had to kind of give up, they took.
The top 3 managers you played for in your career and why?
Hard to answer. Very hard to answer. Gary Peters, because he believed in me in a really tough situation. He put 18-year-old in a really important environment. We were low down in the league. He believed that I was the answer to help the team, local team, young, lot going on. He believed in me, and then probably Ange. I loved how he accepted me and gave me the freedom, and also opened my eyes to football, to how it's constantly evolving, and I was allowed to be a part of that and enjoyed that. It's hard because it feels like you're excluding people, but I can only speak of recent times how Brendan handled what I was trying to do and how I was trying to communicate leaving football, and how I realised that when we actually did understand what he was asking us to do, how we played and how the club breathed and really pushed on.
Great. What advice would you give to a 14-year-old Joe Hart going into Shrewsbury?
I wouldn't tell him anything, because I wouldn't want to. I think you've got to learn. I think you've got to make mistakes. I think you've got to have instincts and emotions. So I wouldn't want to cloud him. I'd just tell him to go and do what he thinks he needs to do.
And the final question for people that have listened to this incredible conversation, and this isn't about football, this is about life. What would you like to leave ringing in their ears, your one golden rule for living a high-performance life?
Get as comfortable as you can with it and go for it.
Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you.